Good morning. Welcome to our needle felting workshop today. Needle felting is an incredibly old-fashioned technique. Felt, as in the felt that we use for Christmas decorations and stuff, is in fact from this technique. On the big felting machines, they have hundreds of these little needles that literally punch up and down into the fabric, whereby binding the fibers. But every time you push the needle in, it'll take some of the fibers and in fact push them in. Now, you can do almost anything out of needle felting. This is a little dog I was creating earlier. I haven't finished him, but that'll just give you an idea, because once we really finish him off, we actually put all these little end pieces that are sticking out will now disappear. But he's got quite a cute little face already. Needle felting can be used for a number of different things. I use a lot of needle felting to create my little dogs. He has a Yorkie in progress at the moment. Doesn't look like much right now, but believe me, when she's finished, she's going to look as cute as the Yorkie in the photograph. You can also create items. Now, some of you might remember in the trailer trash project, I had a granny sitting on a hand, and that hand in fact was created by needle felting. Here we've created a flower in needle felting. Later I'm going to put a little fairy in the middle of it, but I'm first going to needle felt her wings. So this felting is actually created by a slightly different technique to making the solids for a three-dimensional. This is more two-dimensional, this would be our three-dimensional. So what I'm going to do to start off with, just to get us a little bit used to working with the felt and the roving, this is the roving. All you need is your mat, your roving and your needle, and a little bit of patience and some elastoplast possibly. So I'm going to change my mat purely because I'm going to work on different color to make it easier for you to see what I'm doing. So give me a moment and I'll be back. Mat done, because with felting, every little bit of dirt that is on your mat, which you may leave from a previous project, and if you look at it as I'm wiping it off now, you'll actually see the fibers that lift off your mat. So it's not a bad idea to dampen your fingers just slightly and rub your mat to take all that felting out, because that will get into your felting as you're trying to work and can cause discoloration, which you'd be very unhappy about. I'm using a slightly bigger mat right now. You'll also see I've put my mat onto a hard board. This is because I like to needle felt in front of TV at night, so I sit with this on my lap. And every so often I forget and I stab myself right through into my leg. So if you're going to not needle felt at a table, put something below your felting, because otherwise you're going to stab yourself at least once or twice. Please remember that your needle is sharp, it is incredibly sharp, so it would be wise to just keep fingers out of the way. Right, let's move some of the stuff out of our way so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to move that out. Okay, now the very basics of felting is your roving is really just your fiber. It is your mohair fiber, or it can be silk fiber, it can be a lot of things. I'm going to work with mohair because I am, as everybody knows, a very good fan of the mohair. Now your mohair roving comes like this in a long piece. Just take some out. Now we're going to make a basic ball at this stage to make up a shape of a head. I'm going to just put that there, and you can actually just gently tease it out a little bit, so you don't want it in a solid, you don't want any solid pieces like that. You want to just really gently fluff it, almost like little clouds. So this would actually work very well for clouds. So whose idea that was yesterday, I think it was Tara, thank you very much, you're quite right, it would actually work very well. Because I'm making a head, I'm going to just gently start to... Now, what happens with your needle? Your needle's got barbs, and as you start pushing your needle through, it is taking bits of your fiber and starting to mat it. Now, this is where you'll notice my fingers are quite far away from where I'm actually working. This is not a good time to watch TV when you're doing this, because believe me, I have stabbed myself more than once. Now you'll see I keep taking my corners and bringing them back and bring the corner. So I'm going to basically create a little round ball for his head. So let's start with our teddy. I'm going to The teddy and the bunny would be very similar techniques, just the shaping would be slightly different. So a teddy is a little bit easier, so I'm going to start with a teddy just so that you get the basic idea. Now you see how I keep lifting, bringing it back from here to the center. And if I pull it up, you'll see a lot of the fibers are in fact caught already in the sponge. Then just keep your fingers away. If you find you stab yourself too many times in your fingers, you can use the good old-fashioned typists or secretaries, little rubber finger protectors, I don't know what you'd call them. You could use those just because you'll stab that and not your finger. I find it incredibly difficult to work with something over my fingers, like working with gloves. So let's carry on. Now you'll see, as I'm going, I just keep stabbing gently. And as I keep going, you'll see our ball is getting slightly smaller. And eventually, once we've done this for an hour or so, not quite so long, but you'll soon get the idea. You can see already it's starting to form into a shape. You need to filter quite well. So you sort of just really almost a millimeter apart, just keep stabbing in. Mind your fingers, just bear that in mind. Sorry, I need to get that phone. Sorry about that. Normally I would unplug my telephone when I'm doing a tutorial, but unfortunately I picked up a little stray dog this morning and I'm hoping desperately that her mommy and them will fetch her. If I lift the camera just slightly, you can see her and Milo playing in the other side of the studio. So bear with me. I hopefully won't have too many calls to interrupt us, but let's go. Anyway, as we were going, we just carry on gently. And remember, we're making a head, or basically we're making a ball that will become our little head. So just keep working that felting through, like that. It can take a little while. Don't get frustrated if it doesn't happen too quickly. Tago, don't be nasty. It's just a baby. This is the dearest little girl that we picked up this morning. Very well socialized. Stunning condition. Just sitting outside the shopping centre, very bewildered and lost. So I brought her home, and my 6 are not quite sure whether they like her or not. Milo thinks it's awesome. She's got something to play with. Now you'll notice as I'm talking, I'm just carrying on, gently felting all these little loose pieces in. Now I've been felting for about 3-4 years, and I'm still using my original felting needles. So as long as you're careful, they do in fact last. I had a little bit of a problem finding supplies. I ended up importing a lot of supplies when I was doing felting in a big way. So, but I'm still using my original needles that arrived. They do eventually, I suppose, get blunt, but I haven't felt the need to replace them as yet. So it's just working in these bits. There we go. And you'll see, as I had those little bits of fibers there, I've just sort of wrapped them around my needle and sort of pushing them in, just so that I can start getting my real ball. Really now I need to start working it. See how it's already going into a nice little ball? Just, there we go. I want all those little loose fibers to go into my ball. Now I must tell you a very funny story. Every time I do this, I start off saying I'm making a teddy bear. What I start off making and what I end up making normally end up being something totally different, because somehow the felting seems to have its own mind. My first dog ended up looking like a teddy bear. The second dog I tried to make ended up looking like the rabbit. So I hope today we're going to do a rabbit. I am trying my best. Let's just get it nice and round. And again you can see, sort of just hold it gently and carry on. Now the interesting thing here is that as you felt, you'll start seeing all the little puncture marks as you've pushed it through. You can see all the little marks there, and that's why you keep turning it, so you don't end up in one place making almost a hole. You want to work in the area. Keep going over it. There we go. Now you'll see we've pretty much got quite a nice ball there. Once you get to the point where you're happy with your ball, let's put it that way. And you'll see I kept that tip on a little bit there that I was holding on to, so I just want to get that in now as well. You can actually start seeing your shape. Now you saw how much we started with. I'm going to now just have a look at your ball, and somewhere you'll probably see where you can really see the possibility of eye sockets. I can see that this here is going to make a very nice eye socket, so I'm going to just puncture it a little bit more there, and opposite that would be there. So just so that I know roughly where my eyes are going to go. Now the more I keep felting, see how I'm doing the indentation there? Just keep going within that place. But when you get to the point that you're putting your eyes in, you will actually see where the eyes are going to go. Now, because our bunny needed a nose, I'm going to create the nose on a separate piece. So I'm going to put him there. You can see he's started. If I wanted to, I could actually work this quite nicely here, and where his mouth is supposed to be his nose is work it in a little bit more, so that you're starting to get the indentations of the sculpturing of his face. So it's just go around. And now you can start seeing your little bit. If you look at it from the side, you can see the little bit where the nose is going to be, the indentation for your eyes. Now if you think you need a bigger nose, you can always take a little bit of fibre. Let's get a little bit more fibre. I'm going to use a slightly darker fibre. When I say a little bit of fibre, I mean a little bit of fibre. And I'm going to make a little mat out of it that I can put over his nose, just to give us a little contrast in colour. See how it's already going? You see how we go from the end, bring it in, end, down, end, down. It's always easier to work from straight above. Working at an angle, you stand a good chance of breaking your needle. Now this is where you'll see why you need to make sure your board is clean. Because if I had any other fibres lying on this board, I'd be picking them up now, because see how those fibres go into the board? Turn it around and pretty much do the same thing again. So we're taking the loose fibres from the outer side and getting it round. Sorry. No, Penny, we're not barking. Carry on. There we go. And again we can just flip it over. You see how the fibres go through. Now each time you're flipping it, the fibres are being pushed back through, and while it's doing that, it's actually matting the fabric. So you will end up with just that piece. Now that's going to become our nose. So when we look at our little bunny, we can see where his nose should be. There's his eyes. Remember, his eyes are there. If you've got a problem seeing your eyes, you can just take a pencil or a pen and mark it, just so that you've got an idea. Because remember, you're going to put an eye in there just now. So if you mark it, it's not a problem. Just don't mark it in the wrong place, because you would have to felt it out there. I know that the eye is going to go there. I've got a space there and a space there. So now I can see where my eyes are, and I know my nose has got to go around about here. So I'm going to take my slightly darker piece. I just want to get all those loose pieces out of there. Put it there. Again, just keep picking up the loose pieces, felting them in. And now, putting my little nose piece over, I'm going to work it around the sides to get all these little loose fibres in, so that we can create his nose. So it's just see how I'm just turning him from side to side. My hand stays like a sewing machine in one place, and I turn my my bunny's little nose, or bunny's head. Yeah, you just take those fibers and push them through. God's baby's looking more and more like a seal. See how already you've got the lovely shape. Could be a very nice little teddy as well. There's our eyes, there's our nose. Okay, right, so there we've got our basic head. Now this head would be pretty much the same for a teddy, but just as you're going, I mean, basically your basic shape is round. So there's our head. Now I'm going to put my little head there, and I'm going to just hold it in place with my needle so that I can see the size of it. Now I need to create a body. Now there are two ways we can do this. I know that my bunny's body has to be slightly shaped. So if you took your bunny and you worked out your inches. Now I have an inches ruler here on my table. I know that my bunny should not be more than maybe 4 inches. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my 4 inches mark. This is a very rough drawing. I know that my bunny's head's going to be approximately that size. So his tummy must be about that size. Maybe he's going to have legs that come like bunny legs. I'm not an artist, so don't look at the way I'm drawing. I'm just giving myself some sort of a scale. I know that my tummy's got to be round, but it's also got to be shaped almost like a kidney bean. Narrower here and fatter there. So what we're going to do is we're going to first create our round. If you find that you're having a problem with the scale size, draw it for yourself on your little mat. So you've got a basic idea of where your size is going to be. Don't worry too much, because you can always cut off a little bit of excess, so it's not a big problem. I'm going to let's just pull our roving apart. There we go, got it nicely. You can hear the puppy and Milo playing in the background. So to give us a little bit of a ball, and okay, and we start again. Just remember, now I'm going to continue exactly like I did with my head. I'm not going to keep you on cam all the time, because you're going to end up watching literally 5 or 6 hours of me needle felting, stabbing it. So I'm going to carry on. You see I'm working within my shape, just pulling my shape over, felting it in, and we're going to continue like that until I've got some sort of a shape, and I'll be back.